Hi, I'm Alex. Today I thought I'd do the Authortube Newbie Tag. I have the questions right here. If you see me looking off screen, that's what I'm looking at. So, let's get started. Question 1. How did you find out about Authortube? I kind of found it by accident. I was looking for writing things, NaNoWriMo was coming up, and I stumbled across another Authortuber by the name of Cavanaugh. Highly suggest you look her up. I'll put her link below along with anyone else I might mention. So I started watching her videos, and then she started mentioning other Authortubers like Becca C. Smith, BytheBrooke, and I went and checked them out. And then it just kind of spiraled from there. Question 2. What genre do you write in? I generally write in fantasy, high and low. Generally I stick to low, but occasionally I might dabble into some high fantasy. I also write romance. Question 3. What is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? I don't necessarily have a preference. Also, I'm sorry if you hear noise in the background. It has apparently decided to start raining. I generally don't have a preference. I do generally write in third person, semi-omniscient, I believe. But I won't confine to writing only that. If I find there's a story that would be really suited for first person, I'll do that. If I find a story suited for any of the others, I will try it out and give it a go. Question 4. Are you a plotter, pantser, or plantser? This has changed. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I used to be full-on pantser. I wouldn't plan anything. I was like, I have an idea. I don't know what to do with this idea, but I'm gonna roll with it. And rain. And then I started coming up with a lot of ideas I wanted to work on, especially as I started getting more into writing a complete story. And I said, you know what? I need to be able to work on these and have an idea of where they're going so that when I get the chance to work on them, I'm not completely lost, or I haven't completely lost this idea. So I started planning things out. Now, I don't fully plan things out like you see a lot of authors do, where I've got pages of this and pages of that. Unless it's character creation. I will fill out that 100-page questionnaire. I enjoy that. But I will get basic ideas down. So I'm a little bit of both. I'm a bit of a plantser nowadays. But I will not plan that story to death, because that is a genuine concern when I start planning. Question 5. Are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? I have yet to be published. I'd like to at least be much closer to being published in about a year. But not yet. Which brings us to the next question, which is, what are your dream publishing house and or literary agent? I don't have one. That being said, I do have a publishing house that I don't want my work under. I'm not going to mention names. I'm not about that. But the quality of work that I've seen come out of them, just the editing is not up to par. Just it's bad quality coming out of them, and I don't want that for my work. Question 7. What Authortube related content can we expect from your channel? So, my hope is to be able to do a fair blend. Honest 100%, I couldn't decide whether I was doing Authortube or BookTube. But expect some vlogs. I don't anticipate doing a lot of them, but they'll probably be there, especially if things just kind of work out that way. Definitely videos on how I would do, or how I do character creation, world building, that sort of thing, because that is my favorite part of the process. Maybe some process videos in general. If I find any programs that I think are particularly helpful, I would share that. On the very rare occasion you might find a book review, especially if I find one that is just amazing and I think you guys should really, really hear about. If you guys have any videos that you'd like to see, feel free to let me know, and if I feel that I can do that video justice, I will do my best to make it. If I can't, it happens. We're not all experts at everything. Question 8. When did you start writing? So, technically, I can remember writing a little bit in middle school, not much. I really, really got into writing in high school. I do the traditional fanfic. I did a lot of poetry. Now, fair enough, my poetry was still fanfic. It was about characters I loved. It was situations they were going through. I just generalized it a bit more so that hopefully you couldn't tell it was fanfic. And some of it still was cringy. Ugh. High school fanfic poetry. That is cringy. But mostly in high school is when I really actively got into writing. Question 9. What is the first story you ever wrote? The first story I ever completed, because I won't even say that I wrote, because I wrote a lot of things and never finished them. It didn't help I don't share my work a lot, or at least I didn't share my fanfic. I was aware that stuff was bad and I didn't want to share it. But the first story I ever finished was a Labyrinth one-shot. More importantly, if it was a Labyrinth songfic one-shot. This thing was probably about a page and a half in total. It was, I would say now it wasn't good, but at the time I was actually really proud of myself for having written and completed something. It was just like, yay, look what I did. I didn't share it. Well, no, there was one place I did post things for a while. And I did put it on there. No, that was not worth posting. Question 10. What authors inspired you to write the most? I have 2 right off the bat that I can think of, which would be J.R.R. Tolkien and Lewis Carroll, which says a lot about what I read, I'm sure. Tolkien's world building and the scope of what he created was so mind-blowing to me that I was just like, that's what I want to do. I want to create this massive, flowing, living world. Do I feel I've done that yet? No. I'm working on it. But I haven't done that yet. But his world was just amazing. And as far as Lewis Carroll goes, there was just something poetic about how he wrote. And it was very descriptive, and I could see so much of it. Let alone the insanity of some of the characters he made. They were amazing to me. I said amazing a lot. I realize this. But that's the word I apparently have for this. And they just I wanted to create like that. Question 11. Do you schedule your writing time, or do you just write whenever you find the time? I write when I have the time. I generally don't schedule things because I find, or I have found in the past, that if I decide I'm going to schedule something, something's going to come up and just wreck that plan. So I try not to schedule things anymore, and I'm just like, you know what? Hey, I've got 15 minutes and my computer's turned on. I'm going to go write. Question 12. Do you type on the computer, typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? So, technically speaking, I blend them. I generally will do my planning in a notebook with a pen, especially if I know I'm going to be running around or whatever, and I know I'm going to end up thinking about it. When it comes to actually typing out, writing the story as a whole, I will type that on the computer. Question 13. What do you write about in general? What do I write about in general? That's a really good question. I don't know that I've ever analyzed my work enough to say, oh, I write about this. A lot of what I write is about people. While there's always a plot, I like to focus on people and their interactions and the way they fit into their world. A lot of the people I write, in one way or another, don't fit in. There's a series I'd like to write where an entire society is hidden from the rest of the world because they have an ability that no one else does. And they have to blend into that world, and even within their own society. Can you hear this rain? Oof, I picked the wrong day to record, but we'll try and pull through, because a little rain can't stop us from working, or at least stop us from filming a video. So, even within their own people, each of them is kind of different, whether it be their views or what they can do. They're different, and they have to find a way to be okay with that at the same time as being part of that society. You know, a lot of it's just about being okay with being you, and being okay with the fact that the character may not fit their society, but it doesn't mean that they have to be alone in it. Well, that sounds deeper than I really thought about, but hey. Question 14. What are you most looking forward to now that you're part of Authortube? To be honest, the community. And I know that sounds really cliche, and lots of people say that, but I've never had friends who write. I've never even known other writers. Authortube is a really, or at least I think it's a really good way to interact with other people who are like me, who write and create. And that's really why I'm doing it. I want to be able to interact with people who find joy in creating. So, yeah. Now that I've gotten into the really deep things, thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!